I like it. That's just a straight, right to the point deal. Awesome. You could ask for questions.
Questions.
What are the dim metrics exactly?
It's deflections, steals,
Charges.
what else? Blocks. All right. So we track it every day. It's huge. Because we're really pushing on this team to be disruptive on defense, and so obviously really important tonight, and it's gonna be important every day because it's something we talked about. It's something that's reproducible. You can work hard to earn shots for your teammates, but some nights shots go in, some nights shots don't go in. Or something that you can do every day is dim.
It's like a cumulative number where, like, if we hit this number, we've done well, and if we've gone below, we've not done well.
Yeah. And actually, we're collecting 80 points. This is a little bit of a new approach for us. So we'll have a more specific goal for ourselves, probably 10 games in the season. We're just tracking the data right now and trying to figure out where we can live and how we can live there, and what's the cost of really being aggressive for dim numbers. How does it affect defensive field goal percentage? Because traditionally, the more disruptive you are, you end up, in terms of field goal percentage, usually goes up defensively. We're trying to mitigate that steep rise in field goal percentage because we've been a great field goal percentage defensive team, and we're also trying to mitigate fouls. We're trying to see if we can, be a high dim number without having a huge foul. So it's like a sliding scale with all three of those factors. We're trying to work out the best way we can. And Spence was ridiculous tonight. I thought he was so good, and it's hard actually. When a team is pushing the ball as fast as Ottawa was, they did a tremendous job, not just pushing the ball in transition, but also cutting really, really hard. It can get you on your heels, and you can kind of be always chasing. And Spence was the one guy on our team that was never chasing. He was just having on his toes the whole night. It was great. It's really impressive.
Since were you or some of the guys maybe a little surprised at the way that first part of the game, pace-wise, went, and how maybe a draw on your wind and on your conditioning was?
Definitely they started out pushing the ball really hard, as did we, offensively. And then we needed to shore up our transition defense, because they were pushing it so hard. So definitely those first 4 minutes, we got to win that. And then I think we took care of that, for the most part, for the rest of the game.
Coach, you talked about disruptive defense. They had 27 turnovers, now you have 40 points off of that. How important, although this was an exhibition game, to set the tone for the rest of the season?
Yeah, well, I love the data that we can gather, right? I mean, obviously this feels a little bit different than when we get into non-conference games. It's going to feel different, right? We're going to face a lot of different challenges, but as we've approached the season, we've tried to really kind of slide hyperbolic and trying to chase some of these concepts to really go full bore after them, and then just so we can learn as much as we can. I've been really proud of the guys because we had really 6 key points going into this game, and these guys, like, they were on it. Like, they really were, minus maybe the transition defense earlier were a little bit on our heels, and we had some shell principles issues, those 2 things. But the other 4, like, our guys bought in. They're like, okay, you want us to thrust? We're going to thrust. And you want us to power play and make plays for our teammates? I can't tell you how many. It was really fun to watch this group because they turned down so many shots, so many challenging shots to earn great shots for their teammate all night long. That was actually super special. And so we're kind of full bore pushing that way to gather as much information as we can, and then we're going to have to keep piecing this together as we work through the season.
19 turnovers can't be a number that you like.
Yeah. The 19 turnovers, the one thing about the turnovers that I was okay with was that a lot of those turnovers came with us trying to do what we're trying to learn how to do. So, clearly we're not going to win any games if we have 19 turnovers, but we're in a massive growth place right now, and so as long as we're turning the ball over, trying to accomplish what we're trying to do, there's those turnovers that are in the right direction, and then there's the turnovers that are just not, right? And I'd say at least half of these turnovers were turnovers that were in the right direction of us trying to figure out how to play the way we want to play. And so it's okay. We're learning. Like, whew, I'm gonna really be super patient. Spence didn't have any. Do you have any turnovers?
My memory's too short. I don't remember.
But us being patient with this growing process is super important.
Coach,
Coach, with DIM, was there another program that inspired this metric, or is this something that was created in-house?
Well, it's not. This is not super uncommon. When I was at us, really diving hard into deflections is new for us. We haven't made a massive emphasized push towards that. When I was in college, that was Coach Pitino's deal. Like, that was, if he could choose one metric he cared about, it was going to be deflections. In fact, we knew if we got 35 deflections in a game, we were going to win. Now, 35 deflections is insanity. But I was with a group that we actually got them a lot. I was with like 12 Spences. And so, that being a part of it, and this is Keegan Brown. Like, Keegan is doing deep dives for us on ways where we're trying to increase our ceiling, and this is one of them, and it kind of fits our roster. And so this is new territory for us, but we're pushing it, and so that this consolidation of numbers is based on Keegan's kind of data studies.
Speaking of Keegan, this kind of, you mentioned deep dive. I noticed he's on the bench now with you guys in a suit, not so. Is that kind of a new thing that recapped the analytics live?
Yeah, he's super important to me. Like, he's super important in this program. He does so much behind the scenes, and he gives us kind of direction. So, I can take a challenging question to him about, like, for example, when we're talking about defensive field goal percentage, and disruptive nature, dim numbers, and fouls, and I can say, what balance are we shooting for? He can actually dig hard into the data and kind of give us at least some guidance, right? He's also going to help us with some special situation stuff this year, and so I'm excited to have him on the bench. He's really important to this joint. Like, we're using him like crazy. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Spence, how did it feel for you tonight to get your first start here at BYU?
I felt great. Felt awesome. One thing I've always talked about is, like, it doesn't really matter who starts. It matters who finishes the game. But for sure, like, I've worked really hard, and it just felt so good to hear my name being called and then to step out there and actually play really well. But, ultimately, even better to get the win.
Are you running with this lineup on Monday?
I don't know yet. We'll see. But here's what I'm super proud of Spence about. Is, like, for 2 years, he could have made an incredibly compelling, solid argument that he should have been a starter, and he hasn't started a single game, right? And that matters. It just is not the most important thing by far, and he never let it become the most important thing. And one of the beautiful things for Spence is that you talk about a dude that's primed and ready to step into a starting role, and if like, it's a gift as a coach to have a player that is of course we all care about starting or not starting, but it's not going to affect the way he plays. And he's been a gift for us for 2 years, and he was incredible tonight. I mean, what an unbelievable start. And it is, what he did is very reproducible, so I was super excited.
So what did you kind of focus on during the offseason to become even more impactful for this team?
Yeah. Well, one thing I think, I talked about this earlier, was I really worked on my body. So I gained 18 pounds in the off season, which is something that was huge for me because I've never really been able to put on weight like that while also being able to stay quick. So putting on weight, but also working with our strength coach to make sure my lateral quickness, my point A to point B down the court is staying the same, and it really has. So that's something that I really locked in on this offseason.
Spence got unbelievable balance and unbelievable closing speed. And, I mean, you could feel it a little bit tonight, right? Like, in a really physical, really fast-paced, hard-cutting game, he was able to not get bumped off his line. Like, it's super impressive. And so that a lot of credit goes to Spence, but most of the credit goes to Coach Shork and Izzy. I mean, those are the two difference makers. Coach Shork is playing and in the weight room, and Izzy is waking him up at midnight to have his fifth meal of the day every day. And those two are a formidable team. So any of you guys that really need to gain some weight, let me sign you up with the Shork and Izzy program, and you will crush it.
3 more questions. I gotta ask, what was the secret? What's the fifth meal at midnight?
What was the fifth meal at midnight? Dude, I take these mass gainer protein shakes with whole milk and creatine. They're like 1,000 calories or like 1,200 calories. And I eat a meal like a frozen pizza, which is like 1,200 calories or something, and then I crush that. and then I go to bed. That's my deal.
Co-
Two more questions.
Coach, your second five features a lot of youth.
Yeah.
And I was just curious, like, what is your expectation, if that's your kind of second lineup going forward, what is your expectations for those five, and kind of where do you expect production and kind of playmaking to come from?
Yeah, I mean, we still have, we're going to tinker with this rotation all year long, I'm sure. But right now with this second five, there's two things that I would love for this second five to be just a massive burst of energy coming into the game, a massive burst of ball movement, and a massive burst of toughness and communication. Like, that's where that group can be really, really special. You know, I don't know if we'll feel like that all the time. We'll kind of see how this goes, but I'm super proud of those guys. And you know, and right now, throw Thule in that mix too. You know, there's really 6 guys coming off the bench that can have a massive impact in games. Most of them are very, very young. And so there's a learning curve, you know, that they'll go through. But it's a really exciting group, and they're part of a nucleus that I think moving forward we have a chance to be really special guys. We're going to grow a lot this season. The next year or two, we have a chance to be really, really special. And I got a lot of faith in that young group.
Mark,
Last
you
question.
have Idaho State on Monday.
Yeah.
Familiar face coming in.
Yeah.
Cold.
Yes.
What are your thoughts as you prepare for that opener?
Good team, like a really, really good team. They have tremendous size. They got a ton of length. They have athleticism. They have a point guard who's just kind of coming into his own and can really dance on the floor and cause a lot of problems. We know what a special player Kobe is, and he's one of my favorite players to ever coach. And so it's going to be fun, really fun to have him back in this gym. And he did so much for BYU while he was here. He's taken on a major role in that team, and so that's fun to see. But they're a handful. This is a really, really good basketball team coming in here. You know, it's been really fun because we've got to kind of hone in on them for the last week. They got a bunch of veteran transfers that are coming, and they were picked last in their league. There is no way that's happening. Coach Looney does an unbelievable job, and they have talent now. Their talent has gone way up. So it's gonna be everything we handle here. We're super excited about the game. It's gonna be a great home opener.
Thanks, guys.
You guys are awesome. Thank you guys for being here. Good job, baby. Let's go.